everyone, my name is Priscilla and this is Empowered by Women Business Class. This is a new mini-series we're introducing to our YouTube and podcast platforms that I am so excited to finally be bringing to you all. Most of you are already familiar with the interviews we do with other women entrepreneurs where we dive into a little bit more of their stories with how they got started and where their businesses are today. Don't worry, those interviews aren't going anywhere. But this mini-series is going to be diving into strategies and not just stories. We'll be collaborating with select women-owned and led brands to dive into all of those juicy things that are really going to help you up-level your business, develop new skills, and break down any mindset barriers you might be holding on to as an entrepreneur. Each collaboration will be a multi-part series within this mini-series so that we can really focus on specific topics with experts in all of those fields. Each episode will drop on the first Thursday of every month, so make sure you stay tuned, have your pen and paper ready to take notes so we can really build that business of your dreams. All right, let's get into it. Welcome back to Empowered by Women Business Class. This is part 2 of 4 in our collaboration with The Forward Female, which is a coaching and creative agency based in the Los Angeles, California area. Today, we are joined by the incredible Priscilla Presley, who is the co-founder and CEO of the women-owned and led brand. Today, we're diving into the nitty-gritty, all of that stuff that you're really going to need to know with your business. We're talking about how to optimize it all. So, Priscilla, thank you first and foremost. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. This is so much fun. I love talking all things business with like-minded human and women. So it's my favorite place to be.
Let's dive into all of the good stuff. So where would someone even begin when they're trying to figure out how can I optimize my business?
Totally. Well, whenever you think optimizing your business, it's just trying to get it to be the best that it possibly can be. That's what optimization means. Now, whether that's just starting from scratch, you're just starting to put your business together and making sure all of those systems and processes and things that you're putting in place are the best that they possibly can be, or you've been in business for a minute now, kind of figuring out what's working and what's not working, and always continually trying to make it the best that it can be. That's really what optimization is. Now, this can be in so many different aspects of your business. From what we know, there's differences from the front end to the back end of your business, from basically the front end of what everybody sees from the outside. Maybe it's your gorgeous branding or your website or your storefront or the marketing and PR that you're putting out in the world. But we know as business owners that it takes a lot of work to make all of that run smoothly on the back end too, which might be your contracts, your invoicing, your bookkeeping, all of the gears that make your business run on behind the scenes have to be optimized too. And those things need to work together in order for a streamlined business to be in place. So there's a lot of different ways to look at this and to try to figure out where to optimize. But I would say start from the beginning and say, what needs some work? What do I need to do? Power in the pause here, and just get started on a track, one by one, I would say, but understanding how everything can work together too.
I like that you already just kind of made it a lot more approachable by removing the optimizing and just saying, what can we do to make this the best possible version of whatever it is that you're looking at, right? Your social media or, your branding, whatever it is. Yes. Whatever it is, just how can we make it the best? Because I know like once you get into like optimizing an SEO, it's kind of like, I don't know what you're talking about, and people kind of shy away from it, but it really is simple. It's just where can you improve, right? Mm-hmm. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I would think that most small business owners probably start with the front end of things.
Yeah, I would say that is, I think, the world that we live in today. It might be the most exciting thing to dive into, picking the colors and the fonts and the logo and putting your website together to where it's stunning, or maybe picking out the wallpaper for your new storefront or the chairs, right? But that isn't what's going to make your business run. whenever you're putting a business together, you really have to start with a business plan. And a lot of people think about business plans as this like really overwhelming thing that feels kind of outdated, and like it has to be this 200-page document of every plan and perfectly put together. When really that could be it, but that not is not necessarily what a business plan has to be. You have to understand whenever you're starting your business, and maybe you've already been doing your business, but maybe you skip this part and that's okay too. But understanding what is your vision for your business? Where are you trying to take this to? What's the mission of your company? What's the core values that you hold deep? Because all of those things are going to help you put the systems in place to make sure that all of those things are being reached. So whenever you are then going into your invoicing system or your contracting system or your client onboarding system or your client offboarding system or just your client system in general to make sure they turn into a raving fan that loves your business, it all has to start with those things first. And then you can dive into each of them and say, what's the best invoicing system for my business of what I'm trying to achieve? How do I put that into place? What's the best contract system that is going to work well for my business and my clients? And how do I put that into place? And then all of it starts to come together and you start seeing what's working and what's not working. And then what do you need to make better, which means what do you need to optimize?
So in our last episode with Lauren, the
Yeah.
other co-founder, we talked about those three things that you mentioned: the core
Yeah.
values, the vision, the mission. So it's really taking those things that, you know, people probably already do have in the back of their mind when they're deciding to create whatever business they're creating, but actually just putting it down onto paper and elaborating on it a little bit more. So you it seems like you pretty much, you really do back having a business plan. So if any of our viewers or listeners don't have one now, that would be your first step, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think it just helps you go into it with a game plan, really. It's just going into it, understanding what it is that you're trying to achieve and what strategy and what system you're going to put in place in order to achieve it, right? The thing that I like to say is this first plan, this first rendition, this first strategy might not be the home run. It might not be the thing that helps you achieve what that big vision is for yourself or for your business. But it helps you get started, and it helps you get started with direction. Because if you're just going and starting your business and just doing, you might be doing a lot of things that do not get you to where you ultimately want to be. And you start getting exhausted and burnt out and tired, and you might just give up at the end of the day. But if you start with a plan, if you start with a strategy that you can understand if it's helping you reach that clear objective that you set for your business, then you'll be able to make smarter decisions as you begin to evolve it. Most businesses' business plans that they initially started with are not what they are today, but it was just a starting point, and giving yourself permission to start and permission to fail and permission to evolve is key in business in general.
Yeah, I definitely think that is key, kind of just going into it without putting too much pressure on yourself. Because, you know, when we talk about, you know, having your systems in place and knowing your processes, it can be incredibly overwhelming for new business owners and they just don't even know where to begin. So let's kind of put like a real world case to it. So, you know, those of our audience can kind of break it down for themselves. What kind of clients do you work with a lot of in Forward Female, like candle makers, for example, clothing brands, something that we can play around with?
Totally. Well, I think that we work with a ton of different type of businesses, which is kind of my favorite part. However, I think that no matter what your business is, whether it's a coaching business or it's a candle business or a clothing business, there's a lot of similarities of things that you have to put into place. So, for instance, let's say you're starting a coaching business and you want to be a really successful life coach at the end of the day. And you go into starting your business, you have to really think of what it is that you're trying to achieve. One, how much money do you want to make? What are your financial goals within this business? What are your emotional goals within this business? And why are you wanting all of that in the first place? If you know that, then you can start to put together what systems and what gears are going to help all of that move and groove together. So you might not need a storefront, right? Then at that point, but you need a really strong website. You need a really strong onboarding system for a client, really strong scheduling system, probably invoicing, contracts, right? You start to think through all of it. You know more than you probably think that you know, or you give yourself credit for knowing. But if you just pause, do some good old Google research, and figure out the core fundamentals of what you need to make that business run. It's kind of the MVP, the minimal viable product or service that you need in order to just get your business off of the ground. And from there, you'll learn what you like and what you don't like, truly. Whenever we first started, we used, in our coaching business, we used a bunch of different websites and products and services that we didn't like, but we were just using because we thought it helped us bring everything together. Today, now we use something called HoneyBook that helps us bring all of our systems together to schedule, to invoice, to do contracts, to do questionnaires, everything that we figured out within our own business that we need to make everything smooth, efficient, and optimized. But we didn't know that at the beginning, and you probably don't either. It's okay. Get started, and you'll figure out what's working and what's not working, but make quick pivots and make quick edits, and you'll get there faster than if you just didn't start at all. It really is intuitive, and it has to be in understanding whenever you're starting the business. You have to be willing to just start, and that there isn't one proven system that is the only right system in the world. Because if there was, then everybody's businesses would be the same and just as successful. You are that magic sauce to see how your business is going to be better than your competitors, better than the other person down the street that might be doing the same thing that you are doing. Now, how are you going to make your system and your processes and your business even better? And that's going to come from right here in your brain, of being able to want it to be better, being able to continuously not feel like it's completely up to par with where it could be. And you have to have that within here, which in your brain, if you're just listening, and your heart and your soul. You have to want it to be better constantly, and you will figure it out. And you might figure it out better than the next person. And trust that is going to be really important.
You said the word that was at the tip of my tongue that I couldn't quite get a grasp on, but it was being intuitive. And
Yeah.
it sounds like this process really is just about being intuitive. It's not about having this checklist of, I need all of these systems, I need all of these processes because Priscilla told me. It's what, like, taking a genuine reflection on what it is that you have going on in your business and what you want and what you have been using and where you can expand from there. I want to go back to something else that you mentioned that I haven't quite heard before, and that was your emotional goals. So break that down for us really quick. That just made me a little bit curious.
Totally. Well, I think that we are all humans at the end of the day, and humans have emotions and real feelings that are behind what they really want to achieve. And whether that's a personal goal that you want to achieve in your life or your business is goal, I think it's all has a lot of emotion tied within it. And understanding why you have that emotional goal, right? Maybe you want to feel really fulfilled. You want to feel really happy. You want to feel freedom. These are real feelings that a lot of entrepreneurs that I talk to every single day are looking to feel, and a big reason of why they're starting their businesses. So that might be you too. And being able to be in tune with that is really important to understand your why of you're doing it. Because business is so much fun. I love business. I would never not want to be a business owner, But I will say it's difficult, and there are challenging times that you could just never, ever plan for, that you could never anticipate. And that's okay. But you have to be able to be looped into those like emotional soul tied feelings, to where whenever those hard days happen and the challenging times happen that you didn't plan for, that you can come back to that and understand why you're doing it. That feeling that you are looking to achieve beyond the dollar sign, beyond trying to do it for somebody else, but for you, what is that? And if you're in tune with that, that'll help you move past those difficult moments and those difficult times in business so much smoother and faster than anything else.
I could not agree more. I have countless times where there have been moments where I'm like, oh my goodness, like I don't know. I don't know if I can keep doing this. It's
Yeah.
tough, but then it does go back to that why and what you want really, in the core of your heart and in the core of your soul.
Yeah.
And that is that kind of final motivation that you need to be like, no, you can't stop. Don't give up. You know what you want, you know what you deserve. And it's that push to keep moving forward.
Mhm.
So let's go ahead and go back to the systems.
Okay.
How can someone start really calculating how effective their systems that they do have in place are, and when would they know it's the right time to start moving on to trying new systems or putting something else in place?
Yeah, I think that you have to be really in tune with your business here, and understanding what it is that you are looking to achieve. And this comes down to KPIs. So key performance indicators. So these metrics that you're trying to track within your business to understand if something is being successful or not. These are kind of those goals of what you would say, right? But you want your business to be operating at X level by X time. And if the systems that you have in place are holding you back from reaching that, then that might be a time to change. I'm a big data nerd, and I love to look at the data behind my business consistently. So every single week, I'm looking at the data that is driving my business forward, understanding the metrics behind our marketing efforts, understanding the metrics behind the website, what pages people are on the website, understanding how much time my team is spending sending contracts and proposals versus working on actual client projects. And I'm looking at all of those things to see if there's any way that we can make any of those things better. And if there's ever a system or a process or a tool that enters into my space that I feel like could make me achieve my goals faster, better, more efficient, more smoothly, I have no problem immediately leaving something else behind and letting it go in order to move into that direction. I think the most successful business owners and the most successful entrepreneurs are the ones that are in tune, and the ones that are not afraid to make quick moves and quick edits and quick pivots in order to achieve your goals. That comes with a lot of uh, fearlessness to be able to make changes that could make something better or it could not. But making the decision to move forward is what can really help you succeed. So, to answer your question, understand your metrics, understand what goals it is that you have, and constantly be evaluating them to see if there is any point that could be just a little bit better, because that's what optimization is.
You mentioned that you kind of pay attention to, I think you were saying something like how long your team takes to do this and how long your team takes to do that. And this is something that Lauren mentioned in our last episode, and it was a time audit. So it
Mhm.
sounds like that is one of the key ways you can kind of review all the systems you have in place and where you can expand or where you can kind of delegate those tasks or bring on things like Honeybook to really simplify your process or make it a lot more efficient. So
Yeah.
how would you suggest someone starts to do like a time audit if they've never done that before?
Well, I am obsessed with time blocking, so I'm so happy that Lauren mentioned it too. I'm seeing all the commonalities here where we're not even listening to everybody's episode quite yet. But one of my biggest tools that I use every single day, as not as a person, as a business owner, and truly as a leader of my own life and as my business, is my calendar, and really being in tune with where I spend every single minute of every single day. So I use my Google calendars for this, that pretty much we all have access to, and being able to plan out and block out my days for what I'm spending time doing, with what, with whom, if it's personal time, if it's for my business, if it's for a particular client, if it's just for team meetings. And every day, really, and every week, I do an audit of saying, is there any way where I can make this more efficient or better? Or did I spend my time wisely this week in order to achieve the goals that I have? I know that if I'm spending too much time doing things that aren't helping me reach my goals, then it's going to take me longer to achieve my goals. Makes a ton of sense, right? But many of us are too scared to actually look at where we're spending our time, which makes us not do it. But if you just break down those barriers and really dive into saying, where am I spending my time? Where am I spending my energy? Where am I spending my effort? And looking at that and saying, wherever all of that is being spent is probably where you're in the direction of going. And if that time, energy, and effort isn't being spent in a wise way, then don't anticipate to reach your goals in the same way as maybe somebody else that is looking at those things. So I use time blocking, color blocking within my calendar on Google. And then within our team, we use something called Clockify to see across the team, where is everybody spending their time, down to the second, really.
I like that you mentioned that, there are some people that are just afraid to see where they're spending their time. It's so interesting, isn't it? We kind of just have that fear of looking at things very realistically. And it's
Uh-huh.
almost like we just want to keep moving forward blindly, pretending everything is okay, but that's not how, successful entrepreneurs run their businesses, right?
Totally. It's the same thing with finances. I see a lot. People are terrified to see where they're actually spending their money, how much they're spending, how much they're making or they're not making. And I think it correlates really, really well with your time, because I think time correlates with money. And especially in business, those are two things that are very closely knit together. So if you're not spending your time wisely, your bank account probably reflects the same thing. So you probably have, you're scared to look at your bank account too, if you're scared to look at your time in your calendar. So being able to achieve both of those things are two of the biggest things and the two of the biggest leadership qualities that you can have. And you have to be a leader, really, if you're going to be a business owner and you're going to lead a business to success.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like you kind of really have to work through those mindset blocks, whether, it's your own, just your mentality towards your business or your money mindset. And once you are able to overcome that and really have a genuine look at that, that's when you can start diving into, okay, where am I lacking and where can I make this better?
Totally.
So in terms of like timelines and things, like obviously, as you've mentioned, your business is going to change. So your systems are going to change. But how long do you suggest someone, tries out a system before they're like, no, this is not working?
I think it's really dependent on what the system is that it is that you're implementing. Some things you could try it for a week and know that it's not working and probably switch things over. And this comes back to being in tune. But I think that if you really give something a month, you really like put a strong strategy in place, you stay consistent, you know that you're doing everything that you set out to do in order to achieve that goal, and it's still not being hit, then that's when you should probably start to quickly analyze how things can be adjusted and how things can be optimized. And that might be just optimizing the current system or the current tool or whatever it is that you're using to maybe to improve it to the better of its capabilities. Or it could be understanding that you have optimized that to the full of its capabilities, and it might be time to investigate something that can be more efficient for you.
It sounds like this is more very analytical. And I know we have a lot of entrepreneurs that don't like being very analytical.
Mhm.
So where for people that maybe just have like an Instagram, maybe a website even, like where can they start to look at these metrics and figure out what is working and what's not without diving too crazy into like making their own charts and all of that? Because there are still places they can go where they can at least get a surface level view of what's
Totally.
going on.
Well, it really depends on what your goals are within your business, right? And at what point in business you are. Maybe you're just at the beginning and you're not really worried too much about revenue. You're just looking to get some brand recognition and to grow your following and to grow more people knowing about you, before you're looking really at the revenue end of it. And you might have different numbers and metrics that you might need to be following. Some might being the audience on the back end of your website, looking at how many people have been visiting your website, or how many people have followed you on social, or how many people are engaged with what it is that you're doing. So that might be a metric that you might want to look at. If you're more advanced, right, and you're really looking at how to turn your business into a more profitable source for you, then you need to be looking at a lot of different things and to make sure that your funnel within your business is turning strangers into actual paying clients and customers at the end of the day. And there's a lot of different metrics that go into that. Let's say if you don't feel like you're analytical and you don't feel like you're data driven, two things either need to happen. You need to learn it and become data driven, because that really is a big part of being a successful entrepreneur, or bring somebody onto your team that does have that skill, and have them help you drive that forward.
Someone needs to be,
Yeah,
whether it's you or not. So
totally.
you mentioned a funnel. Give us a quick breakdown of what makes like a really good funnel.
Yeah. So whenever you're thinking of like a funnel for your business, kind of what we're looking at is how to turn strangers into champions for your brand. So we like to think of the funnel really starting at the stranger phase, meaning somebody has never ever heard of you before. They have no idea that you exist, and turning them into an audience member, meaning that they know your business now. Maybe that's that they finally followed you on social media, or they finally just saw you present at a workshop, and now they know about you. They never knew about you before, and now they do. Now this challenge is turning that audience member into a lead. So having them come through the process and turn into somebody that's interested in working with you. Maybe that's them filling out a contact form on your website. Maybe that's scheduling a call with you, and turning them into a potential lead. Then the challenge sometimes is turning that lead into an actual client, making sure that they turn into an actual client at the end of the day. And then going from that client through impress and champion phase, so it helps you optimize this entire system even more. So making sure that your system with working with your client is so fantastic and so amazing that they loved working with you and they want to work with you time and time again, and then tell everybody in their network that is a stranger to your business right now about you, and help this whole funnel operate a little bit easier, so you're not the only one having to turn strangers into audience members. And the champions at the end of this funnel are helping optimize this whole funnel for you, would be ideal, and kind of the way that I look at it.
So I know that there's a lot of, gurus out there that really pitch the email funnels, but is that really the only way to create a funnel, or are there other ways you can do it?
Oh, totally not the only way to create a funnel. It is a way to create a funnel, 100%. And I love email marketing, but it shouldn't be the only way. You should have at least 3 different ways, and marketing channels is really what I would say. Email marketing would be like a marketing channel. Maybe Instagram is a marketing channel for you, and maybe doing in-person events or workshops is a funnel for you, and seeing how you can optimize each of those in order to get them really into this funnel that we just talked about. So using those at different stages of this to turn them into a champion for your brand is the goal. However, they flow through the funnel to get there, doesn't matter. It's seeing how you can get there. Now, if you see that email really, really works for your business, then I would see how can I optimize that and really amplify that even more. If you realize that Instagram really, really works for you, or workshops really, really work for you, then it's seeing how can you make that even better and amplify it even more, because you're looking at the data and you know that it works. And so you're seeing how you can make it even better.
It's kind of already always having that next step readily available, right? Depending on which door they're walking through. Oh, I already got something for you, wherever you are in this journey with me.
Totally. Absolutely. Yeah.
Are there any systems that you think every business needs to have?
I would say understanding what system it is for you is crucial. Every business truly is different. So I have a few that I recommend for different problems, right? That I really, really love. If you are having struggles manually scheduling your calls and meetings, Honeybook and Calendly are really good solutions for that. If you're having trouble staying consistent with your marketing, Later and Flowdesk, really love those platforms for that. If your bookkeeping is an absolute mess, I love QuickBooks, and Honeybook has really good solutions for that. If you are manually sending out all of your contracts, invoices, follow-ups, and leads to clients, Honeybook, really great solution for that. If you have so many systems that aren't talking to each other, Zapier is a great solution for that. So there's a lot of different problems and there's a lot of different solutions. You have to identify what your problems are as a business in order to identify what the solution is going to be.
Yes, you answered my question for me too. I was going to ask you what are your favorite tools for all of these different things, but you definitely don't need to just dive in and invest into everything. You really want a good hold on what it is that you need specifically for your business before diving in. Thanks to you all. I downloaded Later. Love it. It's so helpful, especially, for me, I have two girls. I work a full-time job and I'm trying to build my business. So being able to just upload all this media at once and then divvy it up and have it post for me, lifesaver.
We love it. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm so happy that you started using it.
Yeah, systems has definitely been, one of my keywords for this year.
Love
So we're nearing the end of our session. It has been such an important one. Do you have any other final tips we haven't yet covered before we end it off today?
My only really piece of advice is to say the only people who don't fail don't try. So you have to get out there, you have to try, you have to get started in order to understand how you can optimize. Now, people are there are ample amount of people in your corner that really fiercely want to see you succeed. Obviously at Forward Female, that is like our whole business, but there are so many different communities, there are so many different people that really want to see you succeed. So don't feel like you're in it alone. Get started, try, ask for help, and don't give up.
Yeah, it's okay to pivot. It's okay to try new things as long as you are out there trying and showing up.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Priscilla, for joining us today. I've really enjoyed chatting with you, and I was so looking forward to this. So I'm glad that we finally got to sit down and do it.
Me too. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And to all of our viewers and listeners back at home, whether you're watching on YouTube or you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, thank you so much for joining us as well. Be sure to tune in next month for part 3 of our 4-part series in collaboration with the incredible Forward Female. Thanks again, Priscilla.
Thank you.